All right, let's go.
Welcome to Flighty Thoughts.
Meaningful conversations over a flight of beer. Although today we're just, we're doing our thing. I'm drinking Ananda
From Wiseacre,
an
right?
Indian pale ale that is quite bitter.
And I think that Kelly and I, and you're going to meet Kelly in a second, we're
I'm
drinking
about to drink it too.
a rye on rye, which is an aged barrel.
I'm keeping the
ale.
blah blah blahs in.
Blah,
That's
blah,
perfect.
blah, blah.
And
See-
we are at Forevermost Farms.
Yes, Forevermost
Having the time of
Farms.
our lives.
And I need a really great introduction on Forevermost Farms. So please, I'm going to turn over to Steve and Kelly. Introduce Forevermost
it.
Farms. Come on.
You do it.
Okay, I'm Steve with Forevermost Farms. Come on out to the farm on the weekends between Friday and Saturday. No, I'm just kidding.
He's a little
He's not
bushy.
kidding. We do want you to come out to the farm on the weekends, Fridays and Saturdays.
We open up our farm for free farm visits.
Okay,
For
everybody
fun.
take out your phone right now. All our listeners, type in, get to your Google app or your Apple Maps.
All one word, Forevermost.
Forevermost.
We made that word up.
In Rosebud,
I was going to ask you about
Arkansas.
that. How did
We
you
made it
make it up?
Well,
So
Well.
we
it's
started
a romantic story.
dating, and I was in St. Louis.
brown chicken, brown cow. Those are the
is
two
this-
sexiest
Is
animals
this
on the
the
farm.
second kiss story?
It is the first kiss.
It's the first kiss for
story.
us.
Yeah.
So
Was there a bottle involved? Was there a spin the bottle?
there were some bottles involved. There was some whiskey
He
and
had
Whitley
bottles
involved.
in St. Louis, and I had bottles in Little Rock.
For context, check out
This was a
previous
Skype
six-pack
kiss.
episode.
This was a Zoom kiss.
Okay.
Ooh.
Okay, so
Anyway, Forevermost.
Yes.
So I lived in St. Louis. She lived in Little Rock, but we went to junior prom together 33 years ago.
best friends.
Best friends. She wants to let you know she did not date me.
I did not kiss him.
He was
Yeah,
thinking about the
something
kiss
about-
at the time.
And I
something
wouldn't
about
do
the
it.
friend zone?
Friend zone.
She friend zoned
She
me
stiffed
bad.
armed you into the
Friend
friend
zone.
zone. How dare
If
she?
friend zone had theme music, it would be
Something,
dun, dun, dun.
something changed over the years. I
It
don't
was
know.
an F word for sure.
So
Friend
anyway,
is not
we
a
were
four-letter
dating.
word, but it's a bad
five.
word.
we
It's
were
horrible.
dating.
We were dating and in different towns, so we were literally on the phone till 3 o'clock in the morning, just like junior high school.
Oh, yeah?
I mean, it was like we were
We would watch
48-year-old
movies
junior
together.
high
and he'd
can't
kids.
go,
see my face
okay,
right now,
hit
but, like, I'm
start.
like, wow,
and
is that
we'd
really
start
true?
the movie
That's
together.
amazing.
I love you too. Wait, what did I say? I'm
this
so
is how it
tired.
goes. This is how it goes.
No, this is and so I love you. Well, I love you more.
Forevermore.
Forevermost.
Oh,
There it is.
I love it.
There it is.
David's face. He's just like, oh, I'm in heaven.
I know it's kind of
so
Cheesy and
I'm a
sweet.
romantic
Well,
at heart, and I fucking love it.
It's adorbs.
Forevermost because
We need
how
to
much you
trademark
want to
it.
love this more than forevermore. You want it. It's
Yeah,
Forevermost.
That's
Forevermost.
right.
And now we have
Forevermost.
Forevermost Farms
Nice.
in
That's
Rosebud, Arkansas.
fantastic.
We both had careers 3 years ago.
Not farming.
Not farming.
We
So-
call ourselves YouTube farmers.
Kelly, you were in marketing, is that
I was
right?
in marketing. I worked
Steve?
for Verizon.
What did you do?
yeah.
You were
I've done a little everything, but I'm
What is it? He's a Renaissance man.
I'm
Oh.
an engineer retail photographer
engineer retail
with some ministry
photographer.
background.
So
And a
what-
mathematician
that's
and
what
a
changed.
geneticist.
That's what changed everything. He did all these life experiences and jobs. You're like, ooh, he knows a thing or two because
Right.
he's seen a thing
Well,
or two.
I was a single guy until I was 47, and I did
Single
ministry
things.
for several years, and then I
Nice.
worked for an engineering company, which is kind of my education background.
He's smart.
And then Kelly knocked on the door.
Well, no, and then
She poked.
when I
I
was,
was
boy.
like, hey.
then I was in big box
Hey.
retail for 10 years.
Oh,
man.
that's some
I
work.
traveled all over the Midwest. Ended up in St. Louis trying to get closer to home, and when I got to St. Louis, then they went out of business.
Oh.
We both lost our jobs ultimately.
Yeah, well, I started a photography company, so
Yep.
I had a photography business studio for 8 years in St. Louis.
Oh,
wow.
And we started dating, and I
So-
moved down here.
And here we are.
Why farm? Why a farm?
Well, we really were looking for some land because we knew we wanted to self-sustain. If
Why
nothing
did you
else,
want to self-sustain?
we didn't want to be tied to anything. We wanted to produce our own meat and,
And
our
we
own
wanted a
eggs
better
and-
education situation for our daughter.
Yeah.
We wanted to
We
get
were
her
in
out of a
inner
big
city
school.
North Little Rock, and she was 13-year-old
Grace
girl.
and, you know.
as a father of children who eventually be in middle school in North Little Rock,
It's
I
hard.
understand what you're talking
It's
about.
hard.
Yeah.
It was, and both of my nieces excelled at North Little Rock. It's not a bad school; it's a great school.
Yeah.
My oldest niece went on to go to ASU, and now she's in Nashville going to PA school.
Excellent.
Her little sister was number 2 or 1 in her class. I think it was a tie for 1, but she slid in as 2 because she had 1 less AP class or something. At North Little Rock, and then now she's a national championship cheerleader at Oklahoma State.
But it wasn't for our daughter, and so we decided to go to a smaller place.
Yeah, North Little Rock's a great school, just not for us.
I learned a new term from my wife, mean girls.
There are mean girls, and there are everywhere.
And they start off younger these days.
Yes, they do.
It's kind of sad.
no.
Like kindergarten.
It's because all the antibiotics in the chicken, which brings me back to Forevermost
Here we
Farms.
are.
So tell me
So
more.
we didn't know we wanted to farm. We knew we wanted to have land where we could produce
You're good,
meat
you.
for
You're
our
good.
family.
Yep.
And so we started kind of small. We had 24 chickens, and then we had 50, and then we had 600, and then we had 2,400, and
So,
you know.
I mean, we've done a little bit of talking outside of us recording, and what has just really impressed me more than anything is that you talk about this exponential growth in livestock, whether it's 5 hogs to 90 hogs to 300 hogs or whatever. But 2 things that have impressed me the most is that y'all's spaghetti approach to the first year and the fact that y'all are, 3 years?
We
this is our
got
second
married
real year.
on May 12th,
Second.
2018.
We've only been married for 3 years.
We got our first batch of chickens that we were going to sell on March 2nd,
last year.
2019.
And y'all are just going at it.
No, 2020.
2020.
2020.
It was 3 weeks before the pandemic when we got our first batch of chickens.
Right.
Yikes.
So we farmed during the pandemic. We didn't have anyone that would come over here and help us. We were locked in.
Right.
Grace had her 16th and 17th birthday in quarantine.
Oh, man.
And
She loves her parents.
Whether she wants to or not.
so we like delivered to people's houses. They'd leave a nice chest on there. It was all touchless delivery. It was good for us.
Yeah.
The pandemic, and everybody had a lot of time to sit on the rears and get on the internet during the
face
pandemic
smash.
Right.
and see
And
why
want
local
something
is
different.
important. And it's
Yeah.
not just about supporting local. The food that you eat from a local farm versus most of the food that you buy in the grocery store are 2 different things.
Absolutely. But tell me more about that. Explain that to me. Kelly, go ahead.
Well, what I was going to say was something unrelated to
No,
that.
go ahead. Go. Let's follow that trail.
So, during the pandemic, things were hard
Yeah.
for people, right? It was such a hard environment.
And scary.
And we chose at the very moment it happened that we were going to spread joy. That was our mission through the pandemic, through our meat and through our messaging.
And funny.
Like
Facebook
silly,
videos.
we have farm stories that you won't believe. Like I'm walking around with my toes taped together because I dropped a frozen turkey on my foot and I broke my
Planter plate.
and I haven't had time to go to the doctor. Yeah, I mean, there is stuff.
That girl got turkey
literally
toes.
Oh, come on over here, girl.
we got 300 day-old turkeys.
This is a good story.
The next day, we got 20 inches of snow and ice.
Oh, that was
our
fun.
snowpocalypse.
Ooh, I
Please
remember
tell
that.
me you live with
yes.
them in
It
your
was fun.
house.
We
Yeah.
had to move them in the
Oh,
house.
I
Yeah,
love
our
it.
brooder ran out of gas, and of course we couldn't let the turkeys die
And the gas company couldn't get here.
because it was bad.
Wow.
So
My
there we
goodness.
go. We put those 300 turkeys in the house for 3 weeks,
And
we had hogs out and chickens.
And y'all are
out.
newlyweds.
and the tractor doesn't run when there's 20 inches of ice.
And,
We were
and the
carrying
hoses
5-gallon
were frozen.
buckets.
Wow.
So we would go in our shower. We had a double shower built because we knew that we were going to be dirty.
That's
That's
not what we had
smart.
a double shower built.
He needs to stretch his muscles after working hard on the farm, I'm sure.
So it was real handy because we would have
I'm
20
sure it was handy.
waterers lined up with hot water, pouring it in these waterers.
And we'd
then
have to
we
fill
would
it with hot water.
haul it out.
Yeah,
we didn't
'cause by
have
the
a
time you got there, it was
side-by-side
cold.
then. We just bought the side-by-side.
Yeah, and
Oh
it was
my
frozen.
goodness.
So then we would grab the frozen one that's half full and
Yeah.
frozen, and we'd put it in there and melt it, so we could take it. I mean, we were doing
And
that
all the
twice a
turkeys
day.
are going,
Well, and
terrible.
having turkeys in the house. So turkeys are dirty.
Yeah.
Like and loud. And you have to and they have to be 95 degrees. So we had like
$700
30
electric
heat
bill.
lamps
Oh
in
my
one
God.
bedroom.
I learned today from Kelly that turkeys are very emotional too.
they are very emotional.
Oh, we'll talk about Romeo in a minute.
Yeah.
So so she's in there and they have dander and it's like there's
Dust.
everywhere.
Yeah.
So every morning pull all of we
I
had
had
them
them
in
in
buckets. Like tote
Oh,
buckets.
wow, yeah.
Pull the buckets out, completely clean and disinfect the bucket. then completely clean and disinfect the whole room,
Oh,
then
my
put everything
goodness.
back in. It was about
It was
a 5
3
hour
weeks
process.
from hell, is what
Every
it
day.
was. It was
Forget
from
having
hell.
fleas in your house.
Right,
This is worse.
Yeah, gone.
Yeah, right.
But,
So anyway,
but
we survived it.
Kelly is really good at that kind of thing. I'm not. And she kept her house clean.
It's not clean right now. You can't even walk in it. The things you learn to deal with.
So
in the farm.
Romeo is our heritage bourbon red turkey. And we have all these white broad-breasted turkey, which is like you eat butterball. We raise them differently, but then we have this heritage turkey. And he and his girlfriend Juliet lived through the ice storm. I've got pictures of them like
in the snow.
in the snow.
Oh my goodness.
And then right after the snow, Juliet started laying eggs for the first time. And she had a whole clutch of about 25 eggs. And a turkey sits for 28 days.
Wow.
Well, once those eggs start getting close, and they're moving, they won't get up.
The mamas won't.
The mamas won't get up. And we were trying to take feed to her and we were trying to take water to her. And she just was all about those babies. And on like day 26, she died.
oh,
she didn't make
no.
it. But
That's a
not,
true Romeo and Juliet
It
story.
is.
That's
That's
a
not
tragedy.
the crazy part of the story. So we went out there, and Romeo was doing this crazy. His wings were opened up. Y'all can't see us while we're talking, but they're
But
opened
Steve
up.
looks
inside.
really hot with his wings out.
His wings were up, and he was kind of bobbing back and forth, standing on top of her.
Yeah.
I'm crying.
We're like, what's going on? Now you get to reading, and turkeys feel remorse.
Oh, my
In a way
goodness.
similar to how humans feel remorse, but in a stronger way. They have so much remorse that their heart explodes and they
Oh
die.
no.
So we were really worried about that, and we got the Juliet out, and we're reading about how
I'm crying.
she was crying through the whole thing. So then we go in, and our plan was to get a couple more females, so he'd have some females. We were going to bring the white chickens up with him, and we got up next morning, and we have an aviary with a top on and everything. He's gone.
Oh no.
Romeo is nowhere to be found. We're calling for him. Normally, when we call Romeo, he
He goes,
gobbles
gobble,
back.
gobble, gobble, gobble.
And but we can't find him anywhere. And somehow he flew up and found a way to get out.
Yeah.
And all the way across the property is where the commercial turkeys were. He went and took over that flock of turkeys, and he's been with the commercial turkeys ever since.
Oh wow.
So that's why
Other
you-
Romeo
yeah.
stories we won't have time to share today, but we could do a whole episode on Romeo.
Yeah.
There are lots of good life
Well,
lessons.
I'm
in
interested
I hope
because
it's more comedies and less tragedies. After
I'm
that.
actually interested.
It's a
So
hard life.
I don't know if y'all have ever heard of the Enneagram, but when I hear about Romeo, I'm like, I'm an Enneagram 4, very romantic and all. So I'm like, I'd love to know about his pain and suffering and his emotional life.
follow Romeo.
I want to learn
down
more
his
about
tunnels
turkeys
of
now.
torment.
I don't know that I
Dun,
can
dun,
hunt him or anything like that, but might become buddies.
I know.
But I bet he's super creative too.
Oh, yeah, for
and
sure.
As he follows his
He
forward.
made up some songs for Juliet.
I bet
Oh,
he
I think
did.
so.
Oh, but you ought to see him strut.
He can strut. That
he can
turkey can
strut.
strut.
He's a sexy mother.
What I love about him is so the commercial turkeys are very, I'm sure they taste great, but they're very plain Jane. They're white,
Right.
with like white heads
White
and pink
and-
heads, and,
yep,
and
and-
then there's Romeo, who's like this
like
colorful, beautiful
beautiful.
bird. He's like stepping up on my turkey, and he gets all
He's
big. and
special.
cute. Oh yeah, it's great. It's great to see this. The farm is amazing, and it's. Tell me about all the things you have here. So I know you have turkeys and you have hogs.
We have about 1,000 turkeys on the ground right now.
What
Yeah.
I really want to
We've got
know
babies and big ones.
is the story of the first time, Kelly, you made the fainting goats faint.
Oh, it was terrible. So I was in corporate America, and
She thought fainting goats was being a farmer.
I did, and that was the only reason I wanted
seen
the
that
property.
YouTube
Really,
channel.
so I said it was about self-sustaining, but it was really about fainting goats. I wanted fainting goats, and so we
Have y'all ever
sourced-
watched YouTube videos of fainting goats?
it's great stuff.
Yeah, next it would have been like,
You
what,
gotta-
goat yoga, right?
Oh, and she got her yoga certification
I
during
did.
the pandemic.
During the
pandemic.
No, our goats don't do yoga; they're too fat. But anyway, I wanted these fainting goats, and if you haven't seen the videos, you got to go watch the videos because it's hilarious. And so we found Clary and Weezer, and they're like these fancy schmancy good fainting goats. We got them from a girl that we met. We sourced the goats before we bought the land. We found the goats.
Know the cornerstone. Forevermost Farms cornerstone.
That spaghetti did not stick very far.
So we picked up the goats, we brought them home, and they're good fainters. Like fainting goats are on a scale of 1 to 5.
Wow.
And Clary is a 4.
You don't want to
She
do
is
5.
way
That's too
on up
much.
there. So she's a good fainter. Well, we got her home, and I got one of those balls out, those big exercise balls like you're supposed to do to make them faint. And I did that. Cried. It's so sad.
I don't want
So
faint anymore.
fainting goats don't actually faint. They've got a genetic condition called myotopia, and
Steve's the
there's
scientist.
humans that have this.
Right.
Like there are humans that get it, and when adrenaline hits your body, your muscles literally lock up. That's what happens. So anytime they're excited for whatever reason, their muscles lock up and they just fall over. They're completely awake. It doesn't hurt them.
Okay,
Wow.
good.
It looks like it hurts them. They're actually meat goats because every time they faint, it tenderizes their meat.
Yeah, they're,
really?
They're doing this.
Clary and Weezer will never be on a table.
So,
Put them on a deck and do
Goat is the most eaten
tenderize
protein
that
in the world.
meat.
what do you guys think about veal?
Oh, I love veal.
I don't really.
You mean because they're baby cows?
I mean, we're talking about tenderized meat for making things
I mean,
fancy.
I would
You
eat
killed
Let's talk about it.
Bambi.
I eat a Bambi.
Oh, the Bambi tastes better. I promise
Bambi
you.
slaps, baby.
The more spots it
goodness
has, the
gracious.
better it tastes.
Oh, don't you be killing any spotted things. No killing of the spotted things.
I love this.
He's a monster.
So we have goats.
Like-
we have myotonic
We have
goats.
goats. We have
This
turkeys.
complementary
We have
relationship
right
of-
now. We have about 1,000 chickens on
the
the
emotion
property.
of Kelly.
Yeah.
We'll raise 2,400 chickens
Practicality
this
of
year.
Steve.
And the scientist of Steve, like,
Right.
let's
I love
try
it.
this out.
This could,
And I'm like, no, pull him back.
She's
No,
like-
he wants cows and he wants sheep and he wants what else? I mean, like he's got a list.
Talk about the head and the heart
with
right there.
list.
Peacocks.
Oh, I want the
yeah.
peacocks.
I will
I don't
go
want
with
the
this
pheasant.
question.
Bobtail-
I will go with this
bobtail-
question. When you get into
quail.
cows, though, the insemination thing can be weird. Awkward. Let me just say, Billy, who's been on the podcast, I don't know if he shared this or not on the podcast, but he talked about he had a legitimate, like, ACA bulldog, English
Yep.
bulldog. And it's like, that woman ain't right for what she's doing. I mean, I'm glad this thing's pregnant, but
Hey, I'm telling you, I wouldn't have a problem with inseminating.
Yes.
It's getting what's needed to do the insemination that I don't want
you
to do.
paint the accurate picture of how that
Why
goes.
do you think they have Barry White on Spotify?
Hello, I'd like to take your semen.
I know you did not just say that on a podcast.
Steve is a
That's your
comedian.
husband. I love it.
No, his dream is to do stand up. Well, he has a lot of
We won't
dreams.
tell you the
Oh,
whole
my
story.
Oh,
goodness.
Steve, you and I are just gonna have to do one
Oh
episode.
my goodness.
One of my favorite things. So we've been here all day, like on the farm. I think it'd be funny to do like a 10-minute most bit about a pastor that has Tourette's. And you start off with like he does a hospital visit and the inappropriateness of that, and then you go to the next thing of a funeral, and it basically ends up with Sunday morning he's doing a prayer and every other word's a cuss word or something from Humor Plus.
I want to be in
That's-
that church service.
These
Yeah.
are great conversations on grace and salvation, right? Yes, from a pastor with Tourette's.
Absolutely.
Oh, I'm
my
sure
goodness.
that there's a lesson in it. I've
Yeah.
seen
Oh, yeah.
some pastors take some way far walks to get to the lesson off of that one scripture that they
Oh, for
take it
sure.
from.
Yeah.
We call that chasing rabbits.
Yeah, it's rabbits, yeah.
Speaking of, you
Speaking
guys.
of rabbits, we had rabbits.
Tell me about this. So,
Well, we
let's talk about the
we
spaghetti
threw a
approach
bunch
to
of
farming.
shit against the wall
There
to
we
try
go.
to figure out what we wanted to
What
do.
would stick.
Right.
Yeah.
So we raised rabbits for a little while.
Hey guys,
Rabbits have a lot of babies.
can I tell you about
tell
rabbits?
them about it?
Oh, okay. I got to tell you
Have you
one thing
ever
about
seen the
rabbits.
mating process of a
Oh,
rabbit?
I mean, no. I will say, before you get into this,
That-
we did have a rabbit, and when I was growing up, in a house with a bunch of cats. And that's how I understand mating like rabbits, because that rabbit would go to town on the cats. Anyway, go ahead, keep going.
Well, so you keep the males and females separate.
Whoa. The rabbit would go to town on cats?
I mean, the cats weren't always agreeable to it, but
They'll go to town on whatever they can go to
Quick
town
side
on.
story.
rabbits
I
are
watched-
really quiet.
Quick side story. I watched David's dog, who is a Frenchie. And let's just say he is all of a male Frenchie. I I would take him on walks. I'm like, I don't even think he has to pee at all. I think he just wants to feel this rubbing up against his.
Absolutely.
We had a neighbor kid over.
Oh no! I bet it was
Laid on the
boy.
ground. He's just loving it. He's hugging me. Missy's like, no. Stop this. No, stand up, please. Stand up, please. Anyway, sorry for that little
We've been
Not hugging,
trying
rabbit
rubbing
trail.
on you.
4 years to mate this dog for
Yeah.
4 years, and it just is not.
He mates everything else.
Need to help him out. Help him out, brother.
Well, with rabbits, you literally leave them in. The females are in one pen, the male is in his own pen, and you don't put the male in the female pen because he'll worry about trying to look around the pen and stuff.
Yeah.
But if you take the female and introduce it into the male's territory, and the first time we started doing this, we were told they mate until the male falls off.
We were like, what?
We're like, well, what do you mean falls off?
mean?
Like, how will we know? And they just said,
You'll know.
Oh, you'll know.
And no lie, they'll try to get on the female just like the cat.
Yeah.
And it'll work sometimes, but you'll see them go into town, and then you'll see them running around trying to do it again. But when consummation takes
happens.
place, he
Consummation.
freezes up.
Wow.
And literally falls over and gets up and shakes it off and goes about his business.
He's a little too excited.
We had to like call the teenager out and go, you got to come and see this. This is a life
If this
lesson
was the
right
case,
here.
and if humans were like this, women could do anything to us. Like, we fall off and they can like...
I mean,
I mean, to a certain extent, we kind of are.
Yeah, for sure.
It's kind of
So we made rabbit babies for a while.
and that was fun, but
It was okay.
Did
And
you
we-
sell- you sold
two
the
of the
meat?
rabbit, or one of the rabbits that we got? He said none of these are pregnant. We bought the whole operation from a guy. 'Cause
Wow.
We were going to get into the rabbit business.
he was getting into the quail business.
Right. This is how it goes in farming. And so one of the mamas was on the trailer coming home, and she shot out 2 babies right there. We don't know what the hell
None
we're
of
doing.
them were pregnant.
Shot out
We
2
didn't know
babies.
which one was the mama.
We were like,
well,
and they eat the babies
That's
if
what
they're
I'd
not
say.
their
They do.
babies.
Wow.
They'll eat 'em. So when you say you're in the rabbit business, I know you can use like rabbit poop to make good fertilizer, but you sell the meat.
Well, there is a company in Northwest
Or is it
Arkansas
the
that
pelts?
specializes in that, and they'll come get 1,500 at a time.
1,500 rabbits?
We didn't
Rabbits.
do that many.
It goes quick. I'm
What do
telling
they
you.
do?
Like,
Oh,
they
yeah.
have babies, and it's like,
Every 30 days.
Who sells them?
Rabbits are one of the only animals that can get pregnant while it's pregnant.
they have 2 things
Are
going
you
on.
kidding
Yeah,
me?
so if a male mounts a your wife can get pregnant twice. While they're carrying in that last couple of weeks, they can get pregnant again and start the process over.
They have
while
2 uteruses?
There's 2
I don't know
something.
what the magic is.
Excuse me,
but-
David. It's uteri.
Oh,
Get it right.
Thank you for that.
Uteri.
Or, no,
Peni
actually,
and
I
uteri.
think that there's some type of pocket, like inside the
She holds
Yeah,
the
there
sperm.
is.
where they hold the sperm for
Wow.
like up to a couple of weeks.
It's kind of gross. We know lots about
Call the
reproductive organs of animals now.
Release the sperm,
yeah.
crack it.
No, we have a chicken. Our chickens do that. If they don't
Oh.
want to be bred,
It depends on the chicken breed. We've
Oh.
got a chicken breed, and I can't remember which one it is.
we have 33 chicken breeds.
But it will reject sperm. Like if
She's like,
if
"Oh, I
a
don't
rooster
like
gets
that
on
one."
it, she'll squirt that stuff back out. And like, I don't want you.
33 chicken breeds here.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
heritage.
I'm trying to do all this calculations.
good at math.
I mean, like evolution that kicks sperm out and chickens that does this.
Oh,
and
we have chickens that are solid black. We have
Yeah,
Iron
we were
Samani
talking
I was
chickens.
about
telling them
that.
about those.
Their bones are black. Their meat's black. Their,
Carry the one.
Their muscle. Open that door up right there, and there's one in the bottom of it. You can pull
Here,
it
I'll
out for
show.
him.
I've seen specials like on the interwebs about that, and like
It's on the very
It's
bottom.
a Southeast Asian chicken that. Oh my gosh,
That is a
Wow.
black chicken.
Freaky?
that's fantastic.
That's all dark meat.
Yep. The heart,
You know-
everything is like we get that in a separate package. It's like
I just got some Jamaican seasoning from some
Jamaican me crazy man.
East Asian
Ein Sly
people.
Drive.
I might do some. We're gonna have to get some.
I don't think
some
it's
Cajun-
probably-
some
it
very
doesn't
good-
taste very good.
I
Jamaican
brought
but-
my
chicken.
checkbook, so we'll find some things out.
We've got chickens that lay blue eggs and green eggs and pink eggs
and dark brown
and
Moran
dark
eggs.
chocolate eggs.
Would you call it a menagerie?
It is a menagerie.
It's a menagerie,
Of eggs.
yeah.
That sounds sexy.
You guys have picked like the world's worst time to do this. It's fucking hot.
It is.
There's a pandemic.
right.
People are
crazy.
Yeah, but yet
They want to see if they'll swim and being thrown in the deep end. They're
we
swimming.
have chickens that swim.
But
Yeah.
the joy that you bring
Wow.
to this is amazing. Like you can see it on your face. You guys can't see it on your faces,
try.
but we can see it on your faces in the stories.
And as
that
they
you
learn
play.
to swim, the rabbits are just getting after them.
Well, I mean, because they have 2 pockets for semen.
You know what we decided though when what you asked why we wanted to be farmers.
Yeah.
We knew we wanted because we lost 30 years. You know, we
Together.
weren't married
Yeah.
as adults.
She was married to someone else.
right.
When she was married, I wasn't.
Yeah.
But we had time to make up, and we wanted to have a job where we could spend it together.
Well,
And so that there's only a few of those that you can really do together.
and I'm a firm believer that as humans, we can slow down or speed up time. It's relative.
Right?
You know, and because you see it where you look up and 2 weeks have gone by and you're like, I don't remember what I did the day before yesterday. And then there are days that go by and you're like, this day is never going to end.
Yeah.
like this week.
Attitude determines the speed.
Yeah.
And you'd
Attitude
think that we'd
determines
want
the
time to go
speed.
by faster. But we picked something to do together. Farming doesn't go by fast when you're getting up
No.
at 6 o'clock in the morning and
Yeah.
carrying buckets of feed out. And it lets you get to know each other a whole lot
It
better.
does. Good,
Well,
bad,
and whether or
ugly.
not you want this or not, you're fully present to each moment. It seems like
Yes,
you're
you have to be.
enjoying and soaking
have
it
to
up.
be.
Yeah.
You have to be, and we challenge each other. You know, I think we balance each other, but it's hard. It is hard.
She says that I plan 10 years in advance and she plans 10 minutes in
Right.
advance.
I'm like, hold on, let's write all that down.
and I'm like, no, Kelly, I'm talking about something to do 5 years from now.
Right. Keep dreaming, bud. We got to write this check right
Hey,
now.
but dreaming has got us. I mean, in a year and a half, we're going to do almost 1,000 hogs. Or,
Yeah.
No, not 1,000.
No,
100 hogs.
almost 100 hogs.
Yeah.
He's thinking about the year after
1,000
next.
turkeys.
Yeah.
And almost 3,000 chickens.
But it
and
can't be one or the other. It has to be both now and in the future.
Yes.
Yes.
And that's
And
what
so-
makes a great partnership, whether
Well,
it's
and in
marriage or
farming-
farming or whatever.
Right.
in farming, you've got to plan way in advance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just put beefalo on the ground with our
Beefalo.
that is 37% bison, and these are 63% South Pole beef, which is the best beef you can buy. And we put them on the ground now for 3 years from now.
Okay.
And we're already talking to
Not here.
no, but at
Our
BB,
other farm.
we're already talking to
branch.
processors about processing those beef.
Yeah.
You know, the beef that we're processing starting in January, we're on the ground end of last year. Our pig sows have already gone into production for pigs we're going to sell next June.
So what keeps you motivated to do this? What is your driving factor, whatever?
Getting to the end.
What is the end?
There isn't one, I guess.
Oh, there is, because we have a 5-year plan.
Oh.
So we're in year 2 right now. And
This will blow your mind.
year 5, we are going to
Step away.
We're going to still have the farm. Someone amazing is going to run it, and we are going to buy a bus, and we're going to convert it into an RV, and we're
Or
going to
buy something.
travel
We may buy a
across-
bus.
Yeah.
He just
A
shook his
tiny
head no.
home?
I want a bus that's been converted. He wants like a fancy RV.
But
Because
we're going to travel and travel blog and do some other stuff.
all kinds of fun stuff.
And
so
we'll keep the farm. And we were hoping my brother's about to walk in.
We'll give him the mic.
Is
It's
he
all
a
good.
blogger himself?
Jeff probably would not call himself a blogger. he is a heating and air guy. He has his own heating and air company in North Little Rock. But yeah, we love farming. It's
we will always have the farm.
and we'll always have animals.
But we will travel across the world
That's
in an
awesome.
RV.
So I
That's
want
the
to
plan.
quickly ask y'all, because you had mentioned this to us before recording, but what sets you apart from others in terms of processing meat? And one thing I'm just thinking about is the story you said about how you get your animals to farm, like basically to slaughter, basically, how the collagen affects
Yes.
the meat and what it tastes like. So if you could just venture that way.
So we believe that happy animals taste better.
Yes.
Period.
Yes.
So we know that cortisol is released in our bodies, just like
And
it is in
animals'
animals' bodies
stress.
when they're stressed. And so we try to minimize stress. We try to do everything that we can to give them the best life that they can have while they're here. We
That
say
you
they
had
only
na-
have one bad day.
That you had names for the pigs
Yes,
that we
have
saw.
names
is
out
amazing.
there, and we get out there and hand feed them and try to love on them and
Okay,
do the best we can.
You
by
need to
them.
name one Bigfoot for me. How about that?
Bigfoot.
You got
Well,
it.
here's how it works.
Send me
Make it a
update
woman.
pictures.
Since we only have hogs for 5 months out of the year,
Yeah.
when we give a hog a name, it's because of a characteristic.
Yeah.
Well, when the hog comes around the next batch, we call them the same thing. Like every
There'll
white
always
hog
be a
is
Bigfoot.
Wilbur.
Oh, that's funny.
Every once in a while we'll have these bright auburn red-haired red wattles, which is the exact shade that my mom's hair was. So we call all of them Sue. We have a boy named Sue right now.
Yes, you do.
How appreciative is your mom for that being called after a pig?
Nobody needs
She
to know.
passed.
Yeah.
It is a good memory for us.
That's
Like it's just something
fantastic.
that we talk about Sue every day, and we've got a blue Andalusian chicken who got hung by his wing when he was young, and he had a
He's
real bad
kinda
wing. Well,
crippled.
my grandfather only had one arm. He has one arm shut off. His name is
Oh.
Buford. That's my grandfather's name.
This is phenomenal.
named
Buford
Buford.
and Sue. Oh my gosh. I love the passion that you guys bring to this. It's fantastic.
So I was fascinated too by you're again with that theme of like a happy animal that you name them, that you basically feed them on to loading them up to have them
Yes,
go to
we
sleep.
don't
Right.
prod or push them. We feed our pigs boiled eggs and
Which they love.
treats, and so they just follow us
And,
wherever
and
we want to go.
tomatoes.
They
Sue
love a
alluded
good
tomato.
tomato.
Wow.
And I want to tell you, this is the main difference between when you go to a chain grocery store or a chain super center and you buy meat versus when you buy meat from local or from someplace like a co-op or a grassroots place is the amount of care that goes into it. And that care equates to quality of meat.
It is better food.
Well, and like our last batch of hogs, I went up to Winslow, Northwest Arkansas. We take all of our hogs and beef 3 hours away because that's who we think is the best.
You take them yourself, right?
We take them ourselves,
Yeah.
or we'll hire somebody to
Yeah,
haul them up
absolutely.
there. But I went up there and stood there with them all day when they butchered our actual beef, so I could say, no, cut a little more fat. Cut it this way, and and now I can communicate with our butchers. Everything we have is hand butchered. Everything you get at the grocery store is mechanically butchered.
Interesting.
So we're hand feeding them, we're hand loading them, we're hand butchering them. It's a different product than what you're going to
And
get
there's
anywhere
nobody
else.
in between us and the people who eat the food.
Normally, someone raises a hog or cow or whatever, then they go sell it at auction. Then the people at auction find packing plants or feedlots to put them in, and they sit in feedlots and they'll pack them through, and then they'll sell them to the packing plant. The packing plant sells it to the grocery store. The grocery store sells it to you. And they're selling it to you for less than the cost it is to process it.
Interesting.
for us to process.
Yeah, for the less than the cost of
He's
processing.
gonna get on a soapbox in a minute.
It's okay.
That's okay.
So you got to ask yourself, how are they producing that kind of meat at that price?
Yep.
Or more importantly, like what is that doing to you as a eater and consumer?
Right.
Let's cut them corners.
Yeah.
Well, we had like this year, and we're not going to say it wasn't Tyson, but one of the other chicken plants put an additive in their feed this year to make the hens infertile. Now, a broad-breasted white generally isn't going to live long enough to have eggs or babies, but you got to ask yourself, if they're putting a chemical into animals that we eat to make them infertile, I don't want my daughter eating it.
Yeah.
They can say it won't go through, but I'm not taking that chance.
Yeah.
It's silly.
Well, and I know it's more surface, but I love that your shirts say "We farm, you eat." I'm gonna get one before I leave. By the way.
Excellent. Excellent.
Okay, last question because
Yes.
y'all have a volleyball game to go
We
to.
do. The girls playing
You gotta
volleyball.
support your daughter.
Rosebud High School.
Yeah.
Let's go Ramblers.
So what? It's because y'all do spend time on the road. What's your go-to sort of like road trip snack or drink beverage?
Oh, I love
Sonic Iced Tea.
I love Sonic Iced Tea, and I love the Big Dill pickles. Like it's my
Oh,
favorite
yes.
road trip food.
And that's what her favorite thing to drink is.
Yeah.
I love the
juice
pickle
out of the
juice.
David recently liked a dill pickle beer.
There was a dill pickle beer from Superior
That
Bathhouse.
doesn't sound so
He
good.
got all over it.
Great.
I do kind
If
of
you
like
shoot
this
tequila
beer. I
and
don't know
then
what it was, and I'm not a
pickleback.
connoisseur, but I do like
That's
it.
the 14.3%
Yeah,
alcohol
it's a
beer.
good ale. It's
I'll
an ale
drink
with a
just
sweet
about
finish.
any beer but Miller Lite or Mick Ultra. That's my brother's beer.
He's a Bud Light
He's behind us.
kind of guy.
I actually joke with people that like they drink those type of beers, and I introduce them to other ones. I'm like, I took your beer virginity. You're welcome.
So
No, I like Bud Light.
It's good. Yeah.
let me hear
making
about
it
how we, as the world, as the listeners, can support you guys and come out and buy and see and participate.
So this will probably be in November, right?
Right.
So we will be open on the weekends through December, or at least through Christmas. We're going to be doing some Christmas events here. We'd love to have people come up, buy our meat. At that point, we should still have turkey, chicken, pork, and beef.
Yep.
And we're going to do some breakfast with Santa and some fun stuff here. So we're
We'll
going to do
have
some craft time.
Go to the pantry in Little Rock. Go to the pantry in Hillcrest.
Right.
Southern Standard at Me and McGee Market.
Go to Me and McGee and buy our meats there.
The Crusanery. We have a lot of partners that we're partnering with. We have limited the number of people that we'll sell wholesale to.
Oh, St. Joseph's Farm
St.
Stand.
Joseph's Farm
They're
Stand at
awesome.
North Little Rock.
Oh yeah.
There's places you can get our meat, and we generally try
Including here at the farm.
and come here to the farm.
What's the address of the farm?
352 School Road in Rosebud. We're just a mile out beside the school.
And since this will probably be in November, they could have come a couple weeks ago. October 30th, we're having a
little gathering.
little gathering with David Adam Burns and his band.
Social media, how will we
About
follow
to come
you?
anyway.
Facebook, Forevermost Farms. We're also on Instagram.
We're not on Twitter.
We're not on Twitter. 'cause
I'm
we're
not a
cool
twit.
enough.
I'm
We don't
sorry. I'm
tweet.
not a twit.
That's
And I'm going to
second time I brought
sweeten
up
the
Twitter.
deal. If you come to this place, 352 School
Road.
School Road, Rosebud, Arkansas, and you buy some meat from these guys and you tell them you heard about them from Flighty Thoughts podcast, we're going to get you a koozie that says Flighty Thoughts podcast on it.
Nice. Yes.
We will find money in the budget, which I didn't even know we had a budget.
Yes,
but we
but
will
we're
get
gonna do
that for you.
just to
All
make
right.
sure that it happens.
Thank you.
I'm buying meat before I leave.
Hey, we're glad y'all are here.
Yes,
Oh,
thank
we
you.
have
all
It's
of our
been a
meat
fun
you
day.
We love y'all so much.
So your joy and passion is kind of the reason why we have this podcast, so that we can exhibit and share the kind of love that you guys exude from what you do every day, whether it's hard, whether it's fun, whether it's, whatever it is. We
There's
thank
lots
you
of
for
hard
that.
and fun.
Yeah,
Both.
right? You can't have,
That's what
it's not
she
mutually exclusive, right? Hard and fun can be together. And so we appreciate y'all and your
I'm
stories.
not going to make eye contact right now.
But so Kelly said something that I loved. She called them puddle eyes. I've never heard puddle eyes before. It's when you get all teary-eyed
yeah.
and you have puddle eyes before.
It happens
I'm
to me
gonna
all
use
the
that.
Yeah,
time.
'cause she puddles up and
right
everything.
That's
now.
what it is. That's what it is. Thank
She
you
just
guys
found
so
a way
much.
to term it for herself.
Oh, that's funny.
We're going to trademark that. Jordan, you're on it.
Thank y'all for coming out today.
Thanks for having us. We've
Thank
had a
you.
blast.
Pleasure.
We'll be back for sure. I've talked to David before. It would be fun to have every guest we've had, and like you get a minute or two to talk about something.
Yeah.
And
We
We
just
can have a
huge
reunion
party.
at the farm.
We might have to have a
We'll
party
host.
here. That
We'll
sounds
host.
great.
We'll get a keg of some good.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah, we'll do a
Yes.
keg of love honey. We had love honey at our wedding.
Yes, that
We
was our
love,
wedding beer.
love honey. Yeah, it's good.
Awesome.
That is one of our favorites.
We've got the meat.
Flighty thoughts.
Meaningful conversation over Vladimir.
Cheers.
I love making fun of you, dude.